They say you never get a second chance to make a first impression. But what does that really mean? Think about the last time you met someone new. Within seconds, before they even said much, you already had a picture of them in your mind. Maybe you thought they seemed confident. Maybe you thought they seemed nervous, warm, or even arrogant. You didn't stop to analyze carefully. Your brain just decided. And once that image was formed, everything else they said or did was filtered through it. Psychologists call this phenomenon thin slicing. Our brains are designed to take very small amounts of information and make lightning-fast judgments. It's a survival instinct. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors didn't have time to carefully study strangers. They had to know instantly, is this person friend or foe? Can I trust them, or do I need to protect myself? That instinct lives in us today, except now it isn't about survival from predators. It's about social survival, relationships, and opportunities. Here's the startling truth. Research shows that people form impressions of you in as little as 7 seconds, and in some studies, even faster, just milliseconds. And here's the even more fascinating part. Those impressions tend to stick. Once the brain decides who you are, it clings to that judgment. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. If someone thinks you're trustworthy, they'll unconsciously search for proof that you are. If they think you're unreliable, they'll notice every little sign that supports it. First impressions don't just matter. They create the lens through which your entire character is seen. But long before modern psychology discovered this, one man understood it deeply. Niccolò Machiavelli. In his masterpiece, The Prince, written in the early 1500s, Machiavelli observed something that remains timeless. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Let that sink in. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but very few will ever know your inner truth. They don't see your intentions. They don't know your struggles. They don't witness your private victories. They only see the version of you that you show to the world. And that version becomes reality in their eyes. Machiavelli was often criticized for being ruthless, but what he really was realistic. He understood that human beings judge by appearances, and that appearances shape power, trust, and influence. He wasn't saying you should be fake. He was saying you must take control of perception, because if you don't, others will decide who you are for you. So what does this mean for us today? It means that every introduction, every handshake, every first hello is an opportunity and also a test. The question is, how do you pass it? How do you master the psychology of first impressions without losing authenticity? Let's begin with presence. Before you even say a word, people feel you. The way you enter a room, the way you hold your posture, even the pace of your steps, it all communicates something. If you walk in slouched, with your eyes down, people instantly sense hesitation. If you walk in tall, steady, and calm, they sense confidence. It's not arrogance, it's energy. And human beings are wired to pick up on energy. Now add the dimension of communication. Studies show that when we meet someone for the first time, around 55% of our impression comes from body language, 38% from tone of voice, and only 7% from the actual words spoken. Think about that. Your posture, your tone, your eye contact. These matter far more than the exact sentence you say. Machiavelli would smile at this research because it proves his point. What people see in you matters more than what they know about you. But it's not enough to simply stand tall or smile. The real key lies in what psychologists call the warmth competence model. Almost every first impression comes down to 2 questions people ask unconsciously. Can I trust this person? And can I respect this person? Warmth answers the first question. Competence answers the second. If you're warm but not competent, you may be liked but not respected. If you're competent but not warm, you may be respected but not trusted. But if you can project both, warmth and competence, you become magnetic. People are drawn to you because they feel safe with you and they believe in you. So So how do you project both? Warmth shows up in small things: a genuine smile, open body language, attentive listening, the willingness to make others feel seen. Competence shows up in clarity, a steady voice, confident pauses, knowing when to speak and when to listen. Machiavelli would remind us, appearances must align with your goals. If you want influence, you must learn to balance both sides. Now let's go deeper into Machiavelli's wisdom. He believed that leaders, and by extension, all of us, must control the frame of interactions. The frame is simply the invisible context that decides who is leading the conversation. If you wait for others to set the tone, you're reacting. But if you step forward first, you greet, you initiate, you direct the flow, you control the frame. People unconsciously adjust themselves to your energy. This is why some people seem to instantly command respect when they enter a room. It's not magic, it's intentional framing. And yet, let's not forget the details. The smallest signals often have the biggest impact. A clean, well-groomed appearance tells people you respect yourself. A firm but not crushing handshake tells them you're confident but not aggressive. Eye contact tells them you're present. Even silence, when held with composure, can make people lean in to listen. Machiavelli would argue that these details are not trivial, they're the tools of influence. But here's where people often misunderstand. Controlling first impressions is not about pretending to be someone else. It's not about putting on a mask. In fact, fakeness is easily detected, and it erodes trust. What it is about is aligning your outer expression with your inner strength. It's about asking, what do I want people to truly understand about me? And how can I communicate that quickly, clearly, and authentically? Let me give you an example. Imagine two job candidates walk into an interview. One candidate walks in, slouches into the chair, avoids eye contact, and stumbles through answers. The second walks in tall, shakes hands firmly, makes eye contact, and speaks with clarity. Both may have the same qualifications. But who do you think the interviewer remembers? Who do you think leaves the stronger impression? That difference in presence could decide a career. Or think about relationships. On a first date, impressions matter just as much. If you're distracted, checking your phone and not really listening, the other person concludes you're not interested. But if you're fully present, smiling, curious, and attentive, the impression you leave is completely different. Again, it's not about pretending, it's about showing your best self in the moment that matters most. Now here's where psychology and philosophy meet. Machiavelli taught that appearances are everything because people rarely look deeper. Psychology confirms that our brains are lazy. We rely on shortcuts, snap judgments, and stereotypes to make sense of others quickly. But that doesn't mean first impressions are final. They can be updated, but only with consistent, repeated exposure. The problem is, most people never give us that much time, which is why the very first encounter is so critical. So what can you do practically to master first impressions? Here are some timeless principles. Own your presence. Walk in with intention, not hesitation. Balance warmth and competence. Be approachable but also decisive. Control the frame. Lead interactions. Don't wait to be led. Polish the details. Appearance, tone, handshake, eye contact. Speak less, mean more. Don't rush. Let your words carry weight. Each of these is simple, but when combined, they create an unforgettable presence. And remember, first impressions are not about manipulation. They are about clarity. They are about letting others see the truth of your value, your potential, and your character, without the noise of insecurity or hesitation. Because whether you like it or not, people are making judgments anyway. Better to guide those judgments intentionally than to leave them to chance. Machiavelli once wrote that a leader must be both the lion and the fox, strong enough to command respect, but subtle enough to win trust. In the same way, your first impression should reflect both strength and warmth. Strength without warmth can feel intimidating. Warmth without strength can feel weak. But when you show both, you open doors to relationships, to opportunities, to influence. So the next time you step into a room, pause and remember, you are being judged right now in the very first seconds. But this is not a curse. It is an opportunity. It is your chance to set the tone, to project the best of yourself, and to create a lens through which people will see you in the future. Because success does not begin years down the line. It doesn't begin after long conversations or endless explanations. Success in business, in relationships, in leadership often begins in that very first moment, in those first 7 seconds. And the question you must ask yourself is simple. What story will people see the moment they see you?